There was a monumental hearing today. It is still going on as we speak in downtown LA court. And Britney Spears has won a gigantic victory. Her dad, Jamie, is now suspended from the conservatorship.
The thing that Britney wanted more than anything else, her father out of this conservatorship, has happened. This is a huge victory for Britney. This is the thing that her fans have been screaming for, that she said, that she pled in court back in June that she needed, that she wanted, and now she has it.
But wait, there's more. The lawyers, actually for both sides, Britney Spears' lawyer, Matt Rosengart, and Jamie Spears' lawyer have both asked the court to end the conservatorship, but they have done it differently. Jamie, and this is where the dogfight happens, Jamie asked the judge to end it today, now, to end the conservatorship. Matt Rosengart, interestingly, said, no, I want the conservatorship ended in 30 to 45 days. He said, I want a hearing set so we can do certain things. Now, what are those certain things? We have sources who are telling us the things that Matt Rosengart wants. And the reason he didn't want it ended today is he wants the judge still assigned to this case. So in the next month or so, he can start looking at all the books, what Jamie Spears has done. He says he believes Jamie Spears has committed abuse and even corruption, and he wants to look at the books so he can go back into court and call Jamie on the carpet for what Matt claims he has done.
So now that Jamie is suspended, Jamie has to turn over, part of the suspension is he has to turn over the books now.
He absolutely has to turn over the books, and Matt Rosengart will go over these books, and in 30 to 45 days, there will be some kind of a hearing. Now, this did not happen without a fight. Jamie didn't want to be removed today, and Jamie objected to the temporary conservator that Matt Rosengart wanted to put in Jamie's place. Jamie was saying the guy is incompetent, he's not qualified to run a conservatorship, and Matt Rosengart just went after him and railed on Jamie Spears and said, you want to talk about competence? He has zero competence to run a conservatorship. He has no training in it. And then started getting personal about some of Jamie's issues about alcohol and whatnot.
So the point in Jamie asking for the conservatorship to end today is he wanted to avoid all of that, right? He knows that Matt Rosengart is gunning for him. And if the conservatorship
figured it out.
If it ended today, that would never come up.
You figured it out, Charles.
Yeah, Charles, that's exactly the point. And this is a huge, huge loss for Jamie Spears because not only did he get suspended, but a replacement is in. John Zabel, the guy you were just talking about, who is a certified public accountant, which means he is equipped to do the type of forensic accounting that they want to look at all the books and records, what Jamie has done financially over the past 13 years. They're going to open all of that up, and they want an opportunity to go into court and call him to hold Jamie accountable for what he's done during the conservatorship, and that was Jamie's worst nightmare.
Yeah, and by the way, there's something kind of interesting that happened, and you and I haven't talked about this yet, but the judge said that she appointed Zabel, this new conservator, through December 31st. That's longer than what Matt had asked for.
Matt's asked for 30 to 45 days,
So I'm just thinking to myself,
well, that means
what does the judge want to do before deciding whether to end the conservatorship, Charles? And that opens the door to what you and I have been talking about now for many, many months, which is this judge going to ask for a mental evaluation before deciding whether to end the conservatorship? That's the ball game, folks. Britney doesn't want this. Now, Matt Rosengart doesn't want this, and even Jamie said he doesn't want this.
Well, up to this point, the judge hasn't said yet, right? I mean, as we said, the hearing is still going on right now.
It's still going on.
Right.
Yeah, the judge hasn't said that yet, but that kind of seems what is being lined up here. There has to be some kind of hidden card that the judge has, but we should mention, I mean, Harvey, I know you said that Matt Rosengart had bashed Jamie in documents. That continued in court today. He said, look, Jamie isn't a talent manager. He doesn't know how to manage a star like Britney Spears. She wants him out, and that's all that we should need to make this decision. And these theatrics, you could tell kind of throughout. I mean, sometimes Rosengart apologized to the judge for speaking out. At one point, Jamie's attorney said, hey, you know, Britney was never cross-examined when she was making all those allegations back in June. Why can we just take that at its face? And you really have to wonder, it all goes back to what we don't know about her mental state.
That's right. And by the way, Matt Rosengart, almost out of the gate, brought up these new revelations or allegations that Britney had been secretly recorded even in her bedroom, and there were conversations apparently with her children as well that may have been on tape. And Matt Rosengart just said, this is outrageous, unfathomable. I think the word he used in court was unfathomable. And then Jamie's lawyers came back and said, this was just a television show where this
How can you use that? I'm sure what they said was, it's a television show. It's not evidence. This is just, that was a documentary, and the way they presented it, Judge, it's not evidence. You can't use that. But obviously, the judge heard enough, and at this point, if you're looking at the scoreboard, Britney wins today, and Jamie Spears loses and has a big battle ahead of him that Matt Rosengart had signaled he was going to begin, and now it begins, which is, some possible criminal, not criminal,
well, we don't know.
Not criminal, but he's going to look into the books.
I mean, look,
and all these allegations
Rosengart has said we may actually go after Jamie, maybe make him sit for a deposition, and even go after him for money. Matt Rosengart's position is that Jamie Spears has made way too much money in this conservatorship. He is saying that's just not true, and they may have to get into that. But this could well end up in a lawsuit where Britney ends up suing her father to get certain monies back.
Isn't all the money that Jamie's been paid in the conservatorship, that was approved by the court?
Yes,
right?
And it was approved by the court. Jamie, my recollection is Jamie got 1.5% of the gross when Britney was performing. But Rosengart, that's one of the reasons he wants to go through the books. And he believes that there were shenanigans.
Wait, is he saying that there was more beyond that, or he's just saying what he was paid is too much?
He is insinuating there's more beyond that. And it could end up that daughter sues father in court, and that seems to be where Matt Rosengart at least is heading, and I don't think Britney Spears, because remember, in June, Britney said in court, I want to sue Jamie, I want to sue my parents, I want them in jail, she even said. So I think she would be a willing plaintiff if Matt Rosengart, if he decides to actually do this. But by the way, we should say Britney was not in court today. That made a lot of sense because, there were, when she was in court in June, she just wanted to get it all out. This is a much more structured hearing, and I think Rosengart just didn't want this thing to go off the rails where Britney brought up a bunch of things that weren't necessarily relevant to the proceeding today. But what they dealt with today was they've already done suspension. Matt Rosengart has already asked to formally try and end the conservatorship. He wants 30 to 45 days. They are still going to go over fees, which is really interesting because they have to go over certain fees that lawyers are owed, that Jamie says he's owed.
And that Jamie says his lawyers are owed.
Jamie says his lawyers are owed. And Matt Rosengart may object to that today as well. And again, this is going on right now in court. But what we're waiting for is to hear if the judge in any way even insinuates whether she feels it's appropriate to do a mental evaluation. That is going to be, like I said, critical. And the reason I say that is there were 24 doctors who evaluated Britney every year over the 13 years, and they all concluded that she has a serious mental illness, and they said the conservatorship was appropriate.
What's different today, though, is there is no one who is opposing, getting rid of the conservatorship without the mental evaluation.
Look, you guys, there's a lot of things
that have
there's a lot of things that have to happen here, going forward. But let's just soak in this moment. Huge victory, not just for Britney, but also for the Free Britney fans. She has accused her father of abuse for the 13 years that she's been in this conservatorship. She's felt silence. She has said that she cries every day knowing that he is still involved in his conservatorship. So the fact that he is suspended is huge for Britney, something that she's been very, very vocal about. And I mean, I can only imagine how emotional she is right now. Her fiance, Sam, has already posted, putting hashtag Free Britney, congratulations. So this is just such a huge moment for Britney. Of course, there's a lot more things that need to happen, but just this moment specifically is great.
What they could end up doing is one of two things, it seems to me. Either end the conservatorship entirely, and we had Dr. Sophie on yesterday, the psychiatrist, who said maybe what the judge could do is make Britney check in every 3 or 6 months to make sure she was taking her meds. but end the conservatorship otherwise. That could happen. Or, you know, if they have a mental evaluation, Charles, they could end up, the judge could say, look, I feel like there should be a conservatorship, but completely restructured.
Completely restructured.
And by the way, Jody Montgomery, who is the personal conservator of Britney right now, has already agreed that she would stay on even if the conservatorship ends. And that provides, if you will, a safety net for Britney, because what she could argue, and I think Matt is going to argue, Matt Rosengart, is that, look, she has Sam, she has Jody, and she's going to be okay.